From the pool room on Pleasure Island, it's the IGN Digigods. So please welcome two of the Coachman's donkeys, Wade Major and Mark Kaiser.
And here we are. Some of you who have probably been monitoring our long dormant Stupid for Movies page, either on Facebook or wherever, on the regular stupidformovies.com, probably have now caught wind that there is, yes, at least I don't want to say temporary, but there is a contingent resurrection of Stupid for Movies. There are a couple of pilot episodes for a potential new deal that have been shot and will be released in segment form, I believe even in a complete full episode form at some point in December. We shot those yesterday. Isn't that right, Mark? On the other side of the room? Not
sure is.
There we go. Yes.
What are we talking about?
Talking about Stupid for Movies.
Oh yeah, we shot a Stupid for Movies, brand new for first time in 2 years.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
The show that won't die.
Huh?
The show. It was weird walking back onto that set.
It really was.
It was like, really? I haven't been here for over 2 years? Because it feels like I was just here yesterday.
I couldn't tell whether it was I've just been here yesterday or it's been 20 years. It was kind of just been here yesterday, right?
It was sort of been here yesterday.
Because it's the same set, the same crew.
Well, they changed the set. They switched up the decor. Adam did a whole new shebang.
Yeah, but for us, there's red curtains, there's light boxes,
yeah.
Same chairs, same table,
sitting
in the same places.
Well, there's a lot of new rigging for lights and so forth and so on. I mean, it's been upgraded.
Yes, but we're doing this for Aura TV, Aura.tv.
Yes.
So we shot them...
Which is where Larry King's new show is.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so we're hoping that we can get at least a smidgen of Larry's popularity, professionalism, good graces.
That was exhausting, though. Huh? That was exhausting. No. I mean, it's like, am I just older now? I mean, because we used to bang those things out. We just walk in, just rock and roll. There it goes, done, come home. And it was like... I just felt drained at the end of that.
The thing is that when we used to do Stupid for Movies, it was 1 hour,
yes,
and then we walked out the door, and that was it. Now, because we're doing it for a website, the website has certain requirements. We need to say hello a certain way. We need to say goodbye a certain way. This show needs to be segmented a certain way. So there's a lot of stuff to remember as we go through it.
Yeah.
So it was a combination of Rusty. We did a bunch of segments at one time.
Rusty?
Yes.
Who was Rusty?
Rusty Staub. He was a utility player and pinch hitter for the New York Mets.
Good. Okay.
In the 70s, when I was a kid. And the fact that Aura TV requires that it be done a certain way, so it was a lot to remember. But each one will have Each show will have a Wade rant.
Yes.
So the rant monkey is back.
The rant monkey is back, but I'm actually a little more organized this time. It's not like pull my cord and let me loose. There's some forethought. It's more Andy Rooney than rant monkey.
Which is your way of saying no? You're still ranting. The things that you're ranting on a teleprompter.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, Wade. I could tell that as I was talking about the difference between doing the show before and doing it now, that you looked as if you needed water.
I do need water. I am parched.
I could tell you looked. I
had my bottle. I had my bottle of water, and I picked it up, and it's empty. And I was, oh gosh.
And I saw you roll your eyes. So here's what's going to happen, Wade. And this is exciting stuff.
Yes.
While you talk about whatever crap you're about to talk about, I will go and get you some water.
Okay.
So give me that bottle. Give me the bottle that you had.
Oh, okay. You're going to fill my bottle up?
Is that what you want?
I don't know. You're going to fill my fresh and easy pure drinking water, non-sponsored.
Do you want this filled up all the way?
Oh, sure, please.
Because you'll take it home.
Do it. I'm going to roll through. We're going to do Kid Vid right now.
Oh my God! You know what? I would rather watch water fill this bottle than have you listen.
As some people know, I have a nearly 10-month-old daughter. I cannot believe that it has been that long. She is a banshee right now. Wonderful, adorable little girl, gurgling and cooing all like nonstop. But the question is, once we begin really exposing her to video and kids' TV, what am I going to let her watch? Well, let me go through this, and I will tell you. I got a couple of 3-packs right here. One is Barney, one is Thomas and Friends. We talk a lot about Barney and Thomas and Friends. I don't know why. Barney creeps me out. I'm still amazed that there's still a Barney following out there. This is a 3-movie pack from Barney, The Land of Make-Believe, Let's Make Music, and Night Before Christmas. And you know what? It's just it creeps me out like nobody's business. But it's a good deal, as is the Thomas and Friends 3-pack is a pretty good deal. Thomas and Friends I also find a little bit odd. It's the creepy CGI little train character. We've got Blue Mountain Mystery, Day of the Diesels, and Misty Island Rescue. Slightly less offensive than Barney, obviously, but still a little bit creepy. But, not bad for kids of a certain age. And then I think actually, surprisingly, not bad, and I'm not a fan of Kung Fu Panda, but this particular DV and game app combination, Kung Fu Panda Legends of Awesomeness, and the Scorpion Sting, is okay. It's perfectly fine. I would not be offended if she saw this because it does at least have a martial arts element to it. And anything that involves martial arts, I think, is okay for my daughter.
I like Kung Fu Panda.
Absolutely.
Did you not like Kung Fu Panda, the original?
Not so much.
Really?
Not so much. You know why? Partly because the animation, you remember, it started off with that really cool, kind of aggressive 2D, very Art Deco-y animation sequence at the very beginning before it gets all CGI. Do you remember that?
Indeed, I do.
That was hot. If the whole movie were animated like that, I'd have been all over it.
That was not going to happen.
I know. Mm-hmm.
But I did like it, and I have to say I'm surprised that they haven't milked that for another for 7 Saturday morning cartoons.
They're milking it for stuff like this.
Yes, that's true.
They're milking it for stuff like this. Then, on the girly end of things, Barbie and her sisters, A Ponytail. Not in a million years is my daughter ever going to see this. This Barbie stuff just isn't happening. It's just way too. It's too sparkly and gooey. If she's going to be a girly girl, she's just going to be a girly girl without having this stuff spoon-fed to her. Now, I'll say this. Before I show her any cartoons, I'm going to show her the movie Yes, Madam. You're familiar with Yes, Madam?
Oh, please tell us all about it.
Directed by Corey Yun, Hong Kong classic film from the 90s, starring Michelle Yeoh and Cynthia Rothrock. Women, just relentless. I mean, the finale, the martial arts choreography in the finale of this film is Cynthia Rothrock and Michelle Yeoh are laying waste to just guy after guy after guy is unreal. It is unreal. It is phenomenal. Beverly Hills Teens from DHX Media, this is volume 2 of this show that I am utterly unfamiliar with, is really creepy. I don't see how anybody would want their daughters watching this. This is just dreadful. Apparently this was a thing in the 80s. Did you ever see this? Late 80s. This is horrendous, man. I can't believe this was actually on television. This is like the worst role modeling for kids I've ever seen in my life. I mean, this like Beverly Hills 90210 looked like PBS. It's just dreadful that this was actually on television. So that's kind of creepy, man. Beverly Hills Teens, keep that away from your kids. Not good. Superhuman Samurai Syber Squad. All with S's, Syber spelled with an S. Volume 2. Never heard of this either. This is also a DHX Media thing. Very Japanese. Very much a ripoff of Power Rangers. I don't know how you can actually rip off Power Rangers and be worse than Power Rangers, but somehow it actually almost manages to do that. So that's also unimpressive. A solo Barney title here called Perfectly Purple, the color of friendship and fun. The only reason I mention this is because there is a very disturbing sticker on this thing. If you see this on store shelves, this is just a handful of episodes from Barney. It's a pretty generic title, but there's a sticker on this thing that is chilling. It says, Mark, celebrating over 25 years with 25 million hugs. And then it says, sharebarneyhugs.com. Now, what am I supposed to make of that?
I don't know. It's
25 years? 25 years? It's been around for 25 years?
He's old and bitter.
25 million hugs? A million hugs a year?
I'm not sure how they got the hug statistic, but the 25 years I can see.
A million hugs a year? That breaks down to like thousands of hugs a day. That's creepy.
You know what? I have 2 words for you: Jerry and Sandusky.
Oh, I'm giddy. I'm kind of punchy this evening. Moving along real quickly. The books of Sam McBratney. are brought to life in Guess How Much I Love You, The Adventures of Little Nut Brown Hare. And this is really sweet. It's very kind of Beatrix Potter. Nice 2D animation. Very, very sweet. Very cool. Great episodes here. Hidden Treasure, Finders Keepers, It's Okay, Slip, Slop, Slide, Inside Day, Where's Little Redwood Fox, and Snowflake. I actually find this really, really charming. Hadn't heard of it before, but that's a good one. The kid will be watching that. The Hive, Buzzbee's Family Adventures. This is one, I don't know, this is on Disney Junior. This is some show with these strange creatures that are supposed to be bees, but they look more like, I don't know, how would you describe those? They look more like gumdrops.
It doesn't, it's Kidvid. Honestly, Kidvid is the worst. You know what? Oh, look, here's a piece of Ruggla with eyes. It's called the Ruggla Kids, and it's for Jewish children, and it's they sing the Ruggla Kids song at the beginning, and then look, here's another one. It's like an orange with a nose. Oh, it's the Orange Nose Kids. It's so easy. I don't know why I didn't get into Kidvid.
I don't know. Well, anyway, a couple of things here that my daughter might be into if I sort of allow her to go in the girly girl direction, which is not certain. My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, A Pony for Every Season, and the Angelina Ballerina Twirling Tales. Whirling Tales of Friendship and Fun. The Angelina Ballerina thing, the ballet dancing mouse is kind of creepy as well as on that Barney scale. The My Little Pony stuff, it's okay. We like ponies with all the little hair. That goes back a long ways.
No, girls like ponies.
Girls love
hair.
ponies.
Men do not like that, Wade.
So I'll watch it with her if need be. Fairy Tale Fun, Sesame Street. This is Sesame Street going fairy tale. And you have a full-length video here that I think is hilarious called Cinder Elmo. Are you ready for that? Cinder Elmo?
It's brilliant.
See, it's Cinderella, but it's Cinder Elmo.
Yeah, that's great.
You got that?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. You also have, it's all, Big Bird helps Hansel and Gretel, and, Jack Be Nimble, Jack Be Quick thing with the Muppets, and, Kermit talks about Cinderella's fairy godmother. It's just all these little segments that obviously have fairy tale connections. It's all right. It's pretty fun. Talking about weird CGI trains again. Better than Thomas, but marginally, is Chuggington, Chief Wilson.
Oh, Chuggington.
Yeah.
That sounds cute. I'm on board.
It's just more trains with faces. And we're going to be talking about planes later, too, which is, it's the cars thing transitioned to planes.
Dud.
Yeah.
Dud.
We're going to be talking about that in the regular segment.
Dud.
So anyway, that's the thing. Moving on to a little bit more kind of adult-ish stuff. We've got, not adultish, but, kind of more serious animation. Disney's Gravity Falls, Six Strange Tales. You ever seen Gravity Falls?
I have not.
Actually, not bad. Animation's cool, writing's good, pretty solid. Got 6 episodes here. I'm totally unfamiliar with this, but actually I'm impressed. Disney's doing some new stuff that's not completely just mercenary, and I guess there's something to be said about that. Tad, the Lost Explorer. This is with the voice characterizations by Ariel Winter and Cheech Marin on Blu-ray 3D. Utterly pointless, but nonetheless, the regular Blu-ray is not bad. This is kind of, Indiana Jones-ish in 3D animation. This is from Vivendi, and it's okay. It's if your kids have seen the Indiana Jones movies, I think they'll appreciate it more. They'll understand it's kind of a riff, but otherwise not bad. And then a Blu-ray DVD combo pack: Transformers Prime, Beast Hunters, Predacons Rising. I never got into Transformers, not when I was a kid, not the original incarnation. I hate the movies. The movies are horrible. And all of these television incarnations that continue to be milked, it just, it's the same stuff over and over and over and over. I just don't know how they keep it going. This is, I guess if you're a Transformers fan, this kind of feeds the beast, but whatever. It's, it just feels like it's belabored, very heavily belabored. And then kind of wrapping things out, Ben 10 Omniverse, Aliens at War, just maintains that whole Ben 10 thing. 2 discs and 10 episodes. And he's Ben 10 and he's fighting aliens and saving the Earth and all that jazz. It's just same stuff over and over. Totally Spies collection, seasons 1, 2, and 3. Something else I was totally unfamiliar with. This apparently is about 10 years old. Had you ever heard of this when this ran, Totally Spies?
No.
Man, am I out of touch with the kid stuff.
Because that was a time when we were too old to watch that. And,
yeah.
why did we care that
I
it
don't know.
existed? You know how many Saturday morning TV shows exist now we've never heard of?
Yeah, I know. Well, anyway, this is about three girls who are basically, Charlie's Angels type animation spies. They're three girls from high school, and they become spies and international crime fighters. It's sort of, I guess, a little bit like Josie and the Pussycats, except they don't play music, which is too bad. But they're cute. I like them. I don't mind my daughter role modeling after them. That's all right. Totally spies. That stays on the shelf. And then lastly, if you are just big on wanting to be an artist yourself, I was on NPR's Film Week on Friday, and we were talking about the new documentary.
Star Wars?
No, Thank You, Mr. Watterson.
Yes, which you know what? I'm a huge Calvin and Hobbes fan.
Man, that is a great doc.
Yeah.
That is a great doc. And it's a funny thing, I didn't even know this till we sat in studio, that the director, who is a graduate of USC, his wife works there at the station at KPCC.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. So a lot of the people there gave to the Kickstarter campaign to get this documentary funded. And I was very happy that I wasn't there, dissing the poor guy's movie in front of his wife, because it's a great film. It's a terrific doc.
It's
really
funny,
is.
even though they don't talk to Watterson.
But they talk to everyone else.
Yeah.
And they talk to some of the great currently living cartoonists, including Berkeley Breathed, who did Bloom County and Opus, and as he even points out in the film, during the 80s, he and Watterson were like the guys. They were the two, and he talks about his correspondence with Watterson, and it's a great doc, and it goes to the heart of everything that's sort of poisoning the arts right now and poisoning media. And it makes you just have a whole new appreciation for great drawing. And with that, I transition over here to Drawing with Mark, which are a couple of really two discs, each one with 2 episodes from the show Drawing with Mark, where you learn, and you could be a really young kid, and this is super instructive, where kids can learn actually how to draw, how to do their own cartoons and do their own comics, and it's pretty great. I had never seen this show prior to this, but it's pretty great. Each of these 2 discs has 2 episodes on them. One of them has ice cream and happy trails, the other dinosaurs and space. And if I were younger, I think I would totally sit down with pen and paper and learn to draw. But at this point, I've got so many other things to do, so many things on my plate. Stuff that I can't even get to because the baby is just enormously time consuming. So I'm usually doing work, by the way. Do you know when I actually do most of my writing and my film watching and all that stuff?
I'm going to guess this is at a time when most people are sleeping.
It's at a time when most people are beyond sleeping. They're in REM. They're in deep REM, from 8 p.m. to 3 a.m. Sometimes 4 a.m.
Okay, nobody's sleeping between 8 and midnight, so forget that part of it.
Yes.
You could say between midnight and 3. That would be impressive. Mm-hmm. And by the way, I'm one of those people who wishes that, although I love sleeping, sleep is great. I do wish I could get by on 4 hours a night.
Yeah.
I'd get so much work done.
Yeah. Well,
so many more episodes of Family Guy on Netflix and on TiVo.
Oh man.
Star Trek: The Next Generation.
I'll tell you. It's a thing, right? It's a deal. Oh, and by the way, we should point out we are off next week. Presumably, I could say we're off because of Thanksgiving, for the American Thanksgiving holiday. But truth be told, Mark and I are getting into crunch time for the LA Film Critics year-end voting, and we are way behind the 8 ball on that. We need some time to actually watch the screeners that will invariably pile up that week, because that's when we get inundated with them. That's when the avalanche hits.
And the thing is that most years I go to New York for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Which means that removes another 5 days of movie watching for me. Now this year I'm in town for Thanksgiving, so I'm hoping that
you will be able to.
I'll be able to catch up.
I'm going to try, man. Honestly, I've broken it down. I gave you a copy of my database, didn't I?
Yeah, you did give me a copy of the database, but FileMaker doesn't work. The program doesn't work.
Oh, does it?
No, it asks for a password or something, and then.
Sorry. Okay, I didn't design it correctly. Anyway, I gave Mark a copy of the database that I use to keep track.
Well,
of
no,
stuff.
because I can't.
All right, I will make it work for you. Anyway, I've broken it down. I've categorized it and prioritized. I've got something like 13, 14, 15 major films that I figure, okay, these are the must-see movies. And then I've got about 16 or 17 others that I need to see, I guess, for things like, cinematography and supporting actor and actress and screenplay and junk like that. So it comes down to something like about 15 must-see movies, and then about another 18 more that I'm going to try to see. So it's about 33 movies. And we have how much time now? How much time do we have before we vote?
Well, 3 weeks.
Oh, jeez. So that's like 10 movies a week. That's pretty much almost 2 movies a day for the next 3 weeks solid.
Screw that.
Lame. So anyway,
I'll just pretend I saw it.
So this after this show, next week we are off, and then we are back on the week after that with our holiday show. And Mark, holiday show is going to be great. It's going to be great.
It's going to be epic.
It's going to be epic. We get giveaways. Already got some fantastic giveaways, incredible giveaways. You are not even going to believe the giveaways that I have sorted out for that show. You won't believe it. I'll tell you after the show. It's going to amaze you. Fantastic giveaways. People are going to go nuts. They're going to go crazy. They'll be jumping off of rooftops. It'll be amazing.
People will die.
Raining cats and dogs.
Cats and dogs living together.
There we go.
Oh my God! Did we really do that?
Yes, we did.
We're doomed. All right, can I talk about Star Trek?
Go
Next
ahead, do it.
Generation?
Do it,
Jesus
rock on.
Christ. All right, Zoe, we got 2 Star Trek things for you.
Yep.
We got Star Trek: The Next Generation Season 5 on Blu-ray. This is one of my favorite Star Trek seasons. This includes Disaster, which I like. Good one. The Game I didn't like because it had Wesley Crusher in it, and I hate Wesley Crusher. Although Ashley Judd's in it. That's cool. Cause and Effect is always one of my favorites. I like Cause and Effect. It's where they get caught in this like causality loop thing. Like They keep having to experience the destruction of the Enterprise over and over again until they figure it out. I always like that one. And, of course, The Inner Light, which is one of the best ones ever. Way the Inner Light. That's one where Picard lives an entire lifetime.
Oh, that's great.
And then he plays the flute at the end. Remember that one?
Oh, that's an outstanding episode.
You don't know what I'm talking about.
I do. No,
Actually,
I totally
Family
do.
Guy did a very funny...
man.
I won't tell you what Family Guy did. Well, okay. So what you get is you get the Season 5, which looks great on Blu-ray, and it's got a bunch of special features on it, which is fine. But most importantly, it's a great season for the show. The season was in top form, Season 5. Now, as a separate DVD or Blu-ray, you can get, if you want, and you can't afford the entire Season 5 set, they are releasing Unification on its own separate Blu-ray. Unification is the 2-part episode that featured Leonard Nimoy as Ambassador Spock. Now, at the time, this is a big deal that Leonard Nimoy would return to Star Trek in this 2-part episode. I think this episode is fine. I have to say that the costume that they put Spock in is ridiculous with those huge shoulder pads, making him look like he has a big square body. Mm-hmm. And I think Picard looked ridiculous as a Klingon or Romulan, whatever he played. I forgot. This is okay. I mean, it's nice. They bring Denise Crosby back, so I think this is fine. But compared to everything else that's on Season 5, I consider this a average episode, only enlivened by the fact that it is Leonard Nimoy and it was kind of historic for the time. So you can get Unification on its own separate Blu-ray set, or you can do what you should do, which is get the whole Season 5, because Season 5 was a really good season.
Killer.
Go.
Treme, the complete 3rd season on Blu-ray and DVD. Got the Blu-ray here. Looks gorgeous. All the HBO shows are just stunning on Blu-ray. HBO just really nails it, as does parent company Warner. I assume it's a lot of the same process. What's interesting about the 3rd season of Treme is that it's completely... It completely integrates Hurricane Katrina into the backdrop of everything that's going on in New Orleans, and how can you not? So that's interesting that they make that very, very much a part of the narrative of the show and how everything's coming back, but how there are certain problems that this entails. Not having religiously followed Treme and really being only vaguely familiar with the first 2 seasons, I gotta say, you watch a few episodes 3rd season. You pretty much very easily get the sense of what's going on. And I understand why this has a loyal following, if not a broad following. There are a lot of people that are really, really into this show. So, I get it. It's got some really good people in the cast, too. Terrific cast. Melissa Leo's here doing just outstanding work as opposed to the freaking crazy movie that I had to see her in last week where she's hardly in it. Kim Dickens, whom I've always loved, great on this show. And David Morse. Can that guy do wrong at all?
That guy, he's one of those survivors, man. That guy just works.
He's just great in everything he does.
Yep, he's cool.
And Steve Zahn, if you've been wondering where Steve Zahn is,
know.
here he is. Here he is, doing great. So anyway, that's from the third season, the complete third season. Fourth season, of course, is starting later this year. I believe end of December is when the fourth season kicks in. Tons of special features here on the music and the culture of New Orleans, the music from the actual show, just gobs and gobs. The Neville thing on the Neville brothers. Behind Tremaine, David Simon talks about his work as well. Tons of audio commentaries, music commentaries. It's a really nice set. So for fans, absolutely fantastic. And then a couple other TV things before we get into. Are we going to do classic films or new films?
Which is in your hand right now?
The last two TV things.
Oh,
This. Okay, just so that you see in these piles over here. This is classic. This is new. This is foreign.
well, the classic films, there's a couple of really good things in there, including an essential Criterion.
Yes.
That I actually bought. There's a Criterion in there
That you paid for.
Yes,
Okay,
because
well then,
Barnes & Noble had its 50% off sale, and that was available at
you
50%
went nuts.
off.
Okay, well then we'll do the classic films.
Because I know that you're not going to give me
We'll
that.
do the classic. Of course not. We'll do the classic films because I then we can also talk about the incident related to Ed Harris 10 years ago at the Egyptian.
You love telling this story.
I love telling that story. Okay, Touched by an Angel, the 9th and final season. Mark, go ahead and say that the final season, Touched by an Angel. We're never going to talk about this again, ever again on DVD.
So long, sucker.
Yeah, I knew you'd like that. So Touched by an Angel, courtesy of Paramount and CBS.
Where exactly did the angel touch you?
No extras on this, as there never have been. This show was huge for so long, and it just belongs to a certain period. You know, this just comes.
It's a CBS show. It's very CBS.
From that murder,
CBS.
it feels CBS from that Murder She Wrote,
Yeah, from
Matlock era.
Yeah, from that era when CBS was known for some reason, catering to an older demographic.
Yeah. And then lastly, I think this is great, and this is going to mean nothing to anybody unless you're from a very particular generation, a generation older than I, but being a huge fan of classic television from earlier all the way back into the 50s, I just think this is great. Here's Edie, the Edie Adams television collection. Today, nobody knows who Edie Adams was, but wow, what a great show this was. From 1962 to 1964, one of the best variety shows of the period. There were, the 60s were just loaded with great variety shows. I mean, whether it was Dean Martin, Here's Tom Jones, on and on and on and on. I mean, that was just a great period for variety. Judy Garland, gosh, that was just an amazing era. And this is a wonderful, wonderful show. So many great performances. And if you don't know anything about Edie Adams, gosh, she's good. She's just so charming. And such a great television personality. It's phenomenal. Now, the thing that you have to know about Edie Adams in particular, you've seen her in certain movies. You've probably seen her in things like It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, right? She's in that. She was in a lot of stuff, but she was also married to Ernie Kovacs. And Ernie, of course, the legendary pioneer of television comedy that's kind of on the edge. I mean, there wouldn't be a lot of things like, if you watch Jimmy Kimmel, if you watch Jimmy Fallon, if you watch Conan, a lot of that stuff, Letterman, they borrow Ernie Kovacs left and right. So this was a power couple. They were phenomenal. She's just so great. And there, Shirley MacLaine, Duke Ellington, Sammy Davis Jr., Bob Hope, tons of people show up on these episodes. It is a great show, and this is every single solitary episode, 21 complete episodes over the course of 2 years, and a 16-page bonus booklet, bonus footage of musical performances that she did on her husband's shows, because Ernie Kovacs did a lot of specials on TV. Great stuff. This is just treasure television. All right, Mark.
Yes, sir.
We're going to talk about classic movies.
Let's do it, Wade.
But, first off, to me, the big classic this week is The Right Stuff Blu-ray 30th Anniversary Edition.
I agree. Although there is another one. The Criterion is pretty up there.
Yes, it is, and I will unleash you on the Criterion. But
good.
And I agree, that's that. But The Right Stuff is... here's what I find really interesting. In 19... No, hear me out here, because this tells you the difference. If you want to judge the different personality profiles of the different studios, this is very, very telling. In 1983, there were two big films in the running for Best Picture at the Academy Awards. Two huge films. One was a Warner Brothers film. The other one was a Paramount film. Do you remember what they were?
Oh, it was Star Wars and Star Wars.
Yes. The Warner Brothers film was The Right Stuff, and the Paramount film was Terms of Endearment. And I, of course, was rooting for The Right Stuff because I'm male. And at the end of the day, of course, my gender lost out, and Terms of Endearment won Best Picture in 1983. Okay? Now, flash forward 30 years. Warner Brothers is giving The Right Stuff a big, splashy 30th anniversary Blu-ray over-the-rainbow release, just gobsmacked with all kinds of great extras. And in just a matter of weeks, Terms of Endearment is also coming to Blu-ray, courtesy of Warner Brothers, with almost no extras.
Because Paramount doesn't give two craps.
Paramount doesn't give any craps about their classic movies, and they have now sub-licensed that to Warner Brothers. Now, how sad is that? The film that actually won that year is being dissed by its own studio, and the film that lost is being honored by its studio.
Well, I think that
it's just so bizarre to me. It's so through the looking glass.
Well, that says more about the studios than the films.
It does. And no, it does, absolutely.
Warner Brothers has the largest film library in the world, and they know it's a classic, and they know it's not, and they really pull out all the stops for a lot of their classic films. They do a great job. Paramount doesn't care.
I'm just offended by Paramount.
They just don't care. They farm out a lot of their stuff to other smaller companies.
Anyway.
Yes.
Here's the thing, Right Stuff.
The best.
His video, amazing, absolutely amazing. The Caleb Deschanel cinematography, he of course being the father of Zooey Deschanel. It's some of the best natural light cinematography you will ever see in your life. It is a fantastically beautiful film. The grain looks gorgeous. It is a first-rate transfer. Audio, just stunning. You forget how great that film is. You watch that, the subwoofer just goes into overdrive. It is just so awesome. Everything in that movie just so works on a technical level. Menus, crap. Total crap on this Blu-ray. It put nothing into the menus. It's like a DVD from 1972. There's nothing in the menus. It's no animation, nothing.
That is not a reason not to buy it.
Not a reason not to buy it, but I just thought, really, you put all this effort into this, and you didn't even have somebody like there's nothing. That's it. Just a static card to the menu. Some great commentaries with selected scenes in this thing. There are a heap of documentaries. The best one is probably Realizing the Right Stuff, which is almost a half an hour long from 2003 that was originally on the DVD. So most people have seen it, but it's worth watching again. This thing called T-minus 20 Years and Counting, which is about visual effects primarily. The Real Men with the Right Stuff, featurette about the actual guys, everybody from Chuck Yeager to Gordon Cooper. Lots of deleted scenes, about a baker's dozen of them. And a really cool interactive timeline to space, and a bunch of other stuff that is just absolutely first rate. And then there's also inside the little digibook deal, there's a letter from Philip Kaufman that actually references the 20th anniversary screening at the American Cinematheque, the Egyptian Theater in Hollywood, where we were when you leaned over to me and said, what do you think they'd do if I just ran down and I just clocked Ed Harris in the face? And then how long would it take you? How far do you think I would come close to running out before they'd tackle me?
Well, for longtime listeners of the show, they know that I used to have this concept called the rampaging blank.
Yes.
Where it'd be like the rampage, like I think it started with the rampaging extra.
It did.
Where the thing is that if I was an extra on a movie, and I just decided to go on a horrible rampage and just started destroying sets and clocking people in the face, how long would it take before security tackled me?
Yes.
And I would figure maybe 10, 12 seconds. And then I would become like the rampaging this, the rampaging that. And for the Right Stuff, I became the rampaging special screening
awesome.
Audience member. And I turned away and I said, right now, if I ran up to the stage, because they were all lined up. Caleb Deschanel was there, and Ed Harris was there, and the cast was there. I said, if I just ran up to the stage right now, and just clocked Ed Harris in the MF face, how long do you think it would take before? I think people would be so stunned that would probably buy me about 7 seconds.
Totally.
And then after that, when Ed Harris is just like an older man, he's just writhing on the ground, then I think security would come after me. I think I'd have a good 15 to 17 seconds. And I just pictured myself literally just running a dead sprint down the aisle. People would go, "What's that guy doing? Oh my God!" And then they'd come get me. I figure that's 15, 17 seconds.
A good 15, 17 seconds for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
There you go. All right, wait, that's enough about that.
So anyway, Right Stuff. That's a must buy this
Essential.
week. That's essential. That movie just so holds up.
Yep.
Gosh, Sam Shepard as Chuck Yeager is so good, and that's the other thing that Kaufman says in the. It says on the disc, and I think it's in the letter, where he says, that Chuck Yeager, he didn't, Sam Shepard didn't look like Chuck Yeager, he didn't sound like Chuck Yeager, but he felt like Chuck Yeager. He felt like Chuck Yeager. And I got to thinking, I'm like, you know what, that's exactly and I think I said this on our Stupid for Movies thing as well, about Tom Hanks in Saving Mr. Banks. He doesn't look like Walt Disney, he doesn't sound like Walt Disney, but he feels like Walt Disney. And that, I think, is the secret to great casting if you're dealing with a historical figure. Don't look for somebody who's going to exactly resemble them. It's one reason why I think all that presidential casting in The Butler is so crap. Because everybody's just trying too hard. They're all trying to do like a Rich Little impersonation.
Robin Williams? Oh, my God.
It's dreadful. There's nothing about Robin Williams that in any way even vaguely connects you to Eisenhower, as opposed to The Right Stuff, where they got a guy who, for one or two lines, test pilots. I want test pilots. That's as much as you see of Eisenhower in that film. But at least he looks like it.
I'll say The Butler is falling off the radar.
Thank goodness. Deserved to. It deserved to.
I saw the movie twice.
Did you really?
Well, I saw it, and then my mother wanted to see it, so I went back twice.
You are a glutton for punishment.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wade, City Lights. Wade, what can you say about City Lights? 1931. This is, to me, this is the ultimate... This is the ultimate version of the tramp character. And obviously, this is the one where he falls in love with the blind flower girl.
Oh, my gosh.
And this is just delightful and graceful and poignant and moving. Who
but Chaplin could make a movie about a blind flower girl and have it not be just maudlin and disgustingly sentimental, but genuinely moving?
I could.
Like, that is so gutsy.
I could.
It's just unbelievable. Like, imagine if Adam Sandler made a movie about a blind flower girl. Could I buy some flowers? It'd be just horrible.
You know what? The one thing I find fascinating about Chaplin is how he stubbornly resisted sound.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, he was making sound movies well into the 30s.
Yeah, but he was making sound movies that were basically silent movies.
I mean, I'm sorry, he was making silent movies into the 30s.
Yeah, but they were, even something like The Last Dictator is still kind of a silent movie.
It really is.
And
Modern Times. By the time Modern Times came out, there was no reason for him not to make a sound film. He just didn't want to.
It isn't until Limelight where you really get something that sort of says, okay, fine, the sound thing is here to stay.
He also married a very young person.
Yeah.
How old was his wife? He married like a 13-year-old or something.
Was it Una?
No. Una wasn't.
No, Una wasn't a little girl. Her dad would have broken his legs. Anyway,
so City Lights, it looks absolutely fantastic. It's Criterion just did a bang-up job. There's a new audio commentary by Chaplin biographer Jeffrey Vance, which I very much enjoyed.
This is a new audio commentary by Chaplin. I was going, that's scary. Okay.
There's some vintage footage from the production of City Lights, including some footage from the set, which is totally awesome. There's also a piece of an old Chaplin short film from 1915 called The Champion.
Yeah,
which is great, and I cannot recommend this enough. This is a must-buy along with Right Stuff. This is City Lights, Charlie Chaplin, an all-time classic from 1931. He started shooting it in 1928, I believe, but there you go. City Lights, do it.
Fantastic. Yep. Absolutely wonderful.
Must buy.
You know what else is a must buy, Mark? I got to be honest. This movie is this is near and dear to my heart, and a lot of people just didn't get this, but Peter Weir Can Do No Wrong for me. The Warner Archive collection has been, of course, releasing Blu-rays now for a few months, and there are a lot of great Blu-rays, like the Hudsucker Proxy. They came out on Blu-ray, and the Legend of Greystoke, the Tarzan film starring Christopher Lambert. directed by Hugh Hudson, came out as part of the Warner Archive Blu-ray series. Now we have Jeff Bridges, Isabella Rossellini, and Rosie Perez in Fearless, which is, I'm glad it's there on Blu-ray. I'm sorry that, like the others, they didn't perceive that it had enough of a following to be outside the Warner Archive release. But, man, this is a great film, and so many people just did not get this. One of Jeff Bridges' best ever performances. Rosie Perez is phenomenal in this, by the way. She got an Oscar nomination, very deservedly. Adapted by Rafael Iglesias from his novel. Jeff Bridges basically plays a guy, he and Rosie Perez, two people who survive a plane crash. And it's all about how this completely changes his outlook on life and everything else. And unbelievable cinematography, especially of the whole crash sequence from Alan Daviau. This is one of the great films of 1993, 20 years ago. A year that also gave us, among other things, Schindler's List and, the Joy Luck Club and Remains of the Day and The Piano. I mean, that year was just phenomenal. That was the last great year. This year is looking like it might be on par, but 93 was just through the roof. That was amazing how good that year was. I think this is an incredible film.
I like this film a lot. I think this is a totally overlooked film in Weir's Over. And I remember, in 95, I was hit by a van. Hit by a van, flew through the air.
I remember that. I
did the whole 9 yards with the ambulance, and the guys crowded around me. And I remember rewatching that film a couple years after that. It was like on VHS or something. And you really get a sense of, like, if you could survive something like that. I mean, again, in the movie, he survives a plane crash.
Yes.
I mean, I survived something that was terrible, but it wasn't like, but I remember thinking that when you survive something like that,
it's true. You
do feel like maybe you're invincible, or maybe there's God, or maybe I'm a little bit special,
Yeah.
And you have these weird visions.
In full disclosure, I should say one reason why I connected so strongly to this film in 93 exactly is because in almost exactly. I mean, we're now here, middle of November, but on it was like November 3rd, I think it was 93. There was a horrendous brush fire that blew, there were a lot of brush fires in Southern California then, but this was one that started in the San Fernando Valley, blew through Malibu, wiped out over 350 homes, and that was the single worst day of my life. Our home survived. It was the only one on the ridge. The next door, everything in the backyard, 3 houses below, all burned to the ground. I evacuated the home when the fire was right there. At night I watched probably about a dozen neighbors' homes burn to the ground. I mean, that, and it's horrific because you leave, you evacuate, you have no idea if you're going to come back to rubble with everything that, every material possession of value in your entire life. Is it going to be there? Sometimes you even start to think, do I even evacuate? Do I take my risk? Do I stick it out right stuff style? And you really do go through all of these emotions that kind of push you to the edge. And I remember seeing Fearless, maybe, this came out probably, early December? Was that when it came out?
I do not remember.
Anyway, I remember seeing Fearless right after that, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. It was almost like it was speaking to me on some kind of a spiritual level. And, it's true, when you go through an experience like that, suddenly you connect to, the film speaks to you on a much deeper level. And boy, I'll tell you, this movie resonates. It is out on Blu-ray, thank goodness, finally, because the DVD was crap.
Couldn't agree more. Wade, there's a cult classic that you got to see. I'm telling you guys, you got to rent this. This is, it's an older film, but I'm telling you, you're going to dig it. It's from 1976. It's called Assault on Precinct 13. Now, this is a John Carpenter film, an early John Carpenter film. And what's great about this movie is that it is very tense. And what I love about it is that Carpenter did this film for $100,000.
Is that all?
That's all he was given.
The remake was like $8 or $9 million, wasn't it?
And of course, the remake is that much better.
Yeah.
No, it's not. As everybody knows, it's kind of a famous story that Carpenter had wanted to basically set Rio Bravo in the modern times. And budget-wise, he couldn't really do that, so he kind of refashioned his script and just made it into this siege on this precinct. And this is in 76, folks. This is back when New York was a cesspool and our urban centers were crumbling, and something like this really was destined to become a cult classic, and it did become a cult classic. And I think it's great. This is John Carpenter at his early, hungriest best. It's got a good cast. It's a terrific Blu-ray from Scream Factory, because we love Scream Factory.
Yeah.
Written and directed by Carpenter. Carpenter, of course, did the score. Love Carpenter scores. He's awesome. So I would go ahead and rent this. Forget the 2005 version with Ethan Hawke. It's lame. Get the original Assault on Precinct 13.
You know what else Scream Factory, the division of Shout Factory, is doing? Another cult film, Blu-ray DVD combo pack this week, collector's edition of Night of the Comet, one of my favorite cult movies of the 80s. This is so awesome. 1984. This film stars Catherine Mary Stewart, who was a bit of a big deal at the time. Last Starfighter, right?
Yeah. Awful.
Don't know what happened to her, but anyway, also written and directed by Tom Eberhardt. Don't know what happened to him, but this movie is so much fun. Basically, it's kind of a post-apocalyptic movie. It's sort of. I mean, what happens is a comet flies a little too close to the Earth, and it kind of wipes out everything, and only a handful of people survive. And it's like this. What would you do if you're just? It's not quite Last Man on Earth. But it kind of is like the last bunch of teenagers on Earth. What would you do is hey, rock on, party, right? Except there's also some mutants in there. It's a very off-the-wall, very cool, groovy, little kind of tweaked sort of cult film. I think it's an awful lot of fun. Has one of my all-time favorite lines in any movie ever, which is where one of these mutant-y guys says, I'm not crazy, I just don't give an F. It's very funny.
He didn't say give an F.
Well, he didn't, but anyway. There is a new audio commentary here and all new interviews with the stars of the movie, including Catherine Mary Stewart, who doesn't tell us exactly where she vanished to, but it's nice to hear her again, of course. And although I wish, where is she? Why isn't make a new movie? Come on, you're not that old. You're not 90 or something. Sometimes
it's these guys, they don't get offered the scripts, they can't get the funding. You know how it is.
Anyway, and then of course you get the trailer, and that's about it. But anyway, it's really fun. Blu-ray DVD combo pack, Night of the Comet. At least rent it. I would say own it. It's a lot of fun.
What's not a lot of fun is a Gregory Hines film from the early 90s called, I think it was called the early 90s, from 1990, Eve of Destruction. Now, I remember when Eve of Destruction came out, and it seemed kind of cool, but years later you realize it's just stupid. This movie is kind of a thriller. It is about a robot, a sexy robot called Eve 8. And Gregory Hines plays this counterintelligence guy who's going to track down Eve 8 because Eve 8 is equipped with a nuclear bomb that's going to go off, and she's locked in battlefield mode, and she's going to run around and kill people, and the bomb might go off. I just love the fact that you have a sexy robot. You have a robot named Eve 8. Who is basically a walking nuclear bomb.
That's wonderful.
And it's about to go off.
That's great.
And what does she do in the film? Because she's a robot and she's got to kill people. Mm-hmm. She goes into a store, buys a red jacket and a miniskirt. That's what she does in this film. You're like, really? Now, and just when you think this is some feminist, treatise on whatever, it's just not. It's just a stupid movie. So Gregory Hines, who is no longer with us, but he had a pretty interesting career, did a lot of good films. Not a lot of great films, but a lot of good films. He stars in this as the counterintelligence agent. I'm kind of glad Scream Factory brought this out, only because it did kind of have a blip at the time, but it's just ultimately not a great film. So there you go. Eve of Destruction is a little bit cheesy, early 90s cheesy.
All right, I'm going to, real quickly, before we get into the new movies, I'll just go through these last three on our classic front. Cohen Film Collection, love these guys. They are just so awesome. They have come out with the Vivien Leigh Anniversary Collection. They went to the British Film Institute, found 4 old Vivien Leigh films that had never been released here before from her pre-Gone with the Wind period. British films, because Vivien Leigh, of course, was British. For those of you who don't know, that's right. Scarlett O'Hara was British. Not in the movie, but in real life. Of course, the wife at the time of Laurence Olivier. And these 4 films have never, ever, ever been seen by most people. They are now here in fantastic, beautiful 2K restorations in one set, courtesy of the Cohen Film Collection. Fire Over England, Storm in a Teacup, Dark Journey, and St. Martin's Lane. All of them absolutely great. I got to be honest with you. All of them really cool. I even say all of them are better than Gone with the Wind. Of course, I'm not a fan of Gone with the Wind. And then from 20th Century Fox, the amazing Oscar-winning performance of Joanne Woodward In The Three Faces of Eve, this is, of course, about a woman with a personality disorder, and her performance remains as stunning now as it was then. This was written and directed and produced by Nunnally Johnson, and it is a great movie. It is just, it is a really terrific movie. It is even better than Sybil, which I still think is a really good film. And Aubrey Solomon, the film historian, does a wonderful commentary, and you even get a little Fox Movie Tone News thing on the Academy Awards when she won, and she is so charming when she wins. And then Olive Films, of course, keeps mining these amazing movies from the Paramount catalog, and because Paramount, as we mentioned earlier, doesn't give a crap about their movies. And here you go, Bing Crosby and Ingrid Bergman in The Bells of St. Mary, Leo McCarey's all-time great film. This is just a super, super movie. And Paramount doesn't give a crap about it, so you get to benefit from Olive Films being really smart about this. This is 1945, a movie that just reeks of all of the emotion that was stirring in the air at the end of World War II. And, it's Bing Crosby playing a priest. Isn't that perfect? I mean, he had, 27 children because he's a good Catholic?
Bing Crosby's kind of forgotten, actually.
He had
really?
Really?
Yeah, but if you're like 22 years old, you know who Bing Crosby is?
If you're 22 years old, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to save the next generation all of your horribleness. Anyway, Bells of St. Mary is just a wonderful, wonderful movie. Of course, Ingrid Bergman as a nun, because of course, she had that affair with Roberto Rossellini, which was very nun-like. And then Bing Crosby, who had like 27 children and was pretty mean to a lot of them. That makes him a perfect priest. I'm being cynical. Never mind. But this really is. It's a lovely, lovely film, and it deserves to be seen, widely. And thank you, Olive Films, for making sure that will in fact now happen. All right, Mark. Let's get to new movies. I know.
Thank you.
You are a fan of all of these comedy movies now about the end of the world and whatnot. What was the
this is
the
the end. It's
the
funny.
Seth Rogen thing? Yeah,
This is the end.
Yeah,
That's funny.
Yeah,
How dare you not like that?
It's fine.
Well, this isn't really an end of the world. I mean, it is an end of the world film, but even more than that, it is a Simon Pegg, Nick Frost film.
Ah, there we go.
That's an Edgar Wright film. That's really what it is, because Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, they do these lad films where a bunch of British pinters go and get drunk and whatever.
Yeah.
This is the last of their little trilogy. The other ones were Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz. This is The World's End, and I'm not going to say much about what the film is about because I don't want to give it away. But I have to say that for the first half hour, I was completely in love with this film. I thought this was great. It's about a bunch of guys who, when they were younger, they in their little small town, they had gone on this all-night drinking bender to all the various pubs in their town, but they never got to the last pub. And it had always haunted the Simon Pegg character that they never got to the last pub and completed this epic pub crawl. And so years later, now that they're in their 30s and whatnot, even their 40s, Simon decides he is going to get everybody back together and complete the epic pub crawl. So they all go back to their small town, and they all go on this epic pub crawl. And in the middle of the pub crawl, something happens. Something that I will not give away, although you can probably tell what it is because you probably know about the movie. And I have to say, once they brought in this other element, I actually found the movie a lot less interesting. There's still some funny lines in it. I'm not always a huge fan of Simon Pegg, but I did like him in this.
Did you see Attack the Block?
I like that movie. That movie's terrific.
Kind of in the same vein, too, a little bit. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like that movie a lot, actually.
All these movies about pikers that don't mess with the pikers.
And actually, you realize, Wade, I have something to tell you that's very exciting. You may not know.
What?
Joe Cornish, the guy who directed Attack the Block,
yeah.
You realize that he's first in line to direct Star Trek 3.
I just heard that, yeah.
Yes, which I think would be good.
I do, too, especially if it's got a bunch of pikers. Just bring them on. Let them take over the Enterprise.
Anyway, World's End, I got that at the end.
Yeah.
Anyway, World's End, I would totally rent this. I don't know if I'd buy it unless you love the other two, Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz. I do like Shaun of the Dead a lot, actually. Anyway, a really terrific rental for a Saturday night. It's a good-looking Blu-ray, some bonus features, including deleted scenes and outtakes, always funny outtakes. Commentary by Edgar Wright, Simon Pegg, very entertaining. So, World's End, good stuff.
Man of Steel is out now. And Mark and I have very, very we have interesting feelings about Man of Steel.
I say it's conflicted.
Yeah, I'm still conflicted. I mean, look, everyone knows that I have a real chip on my shoulder about Zack Snyder. I think he's a total hack and unbelievably untalented. But I will say there are some moments here. Mostly all the stuff with Kevin Costner, the Smallville stuff. It's pretty good. It does feel authentic. It does resonate. I just ultimately think this movie falls completely into its own colon once Zod starts invading with his giant army of spaceships. There was something cool in the original Superman and Superman 2 about the fact that Zod, Terrence Stamp, is so cool and collected, that he is so confident of his own. His ego is so huge that he doesn't see any reason to sort of extend himself. And when they come to Earth, they just come with themselves, the three of them, right? And they wreak havoc. Here, he's like got this army of spaceships. It's a whole invasion. He's just this psychotic lunatic, as played by Michael Shannon, and he's frothing at the mouth. And then they have this battle at the end where they are literally
It's like 45 minutes.
It's like 45 minutes. They're literally using each other as bowling balls and just knocking down buildings. And who knows how many people are dying.
It is totally rad. It is, dude.
not.
Don't
It's
you know
awful.
rad and stuff and junk? Dude, the way that
awful.
Superman did the whole thing, and he went into the crowd, and he crashed into the mountain. It was all rad and cool and stuff and junk.
This is what it feels like they told David Goyer to do. Create a beginning that looks like Avatar, a middle that looks like, a kind of a prologue that looks like Avatar, a first act that looks like Smallville, so people, who like the TV show will recognize that, and then another act that's a little bit, sort of traditional Superman, and then at the end just make it a Godzilla movie. It's
or a Dark Knight film. You know why? Because Warner Brothers wants their superhero films to be dark, because the Marvel films are fun and cheeky and have a lot of humor in it.
Anyway, we got here a Blu-ray DVD digital HD ultraviolet combo pack, and then another one that is a Blu-ray 3D Blu-ray DVD ultraviolet combo pack. I don't see any necessary reason that this film really has to be seen in 3D. I saw it in 3D projected. Watched the Blu-ray without 3D. Same damn movie. Doesn't make any big difference. Some decent extras on here, mostly featurette material, behind the scenes, this, that, and the other thing. You get to see way too much Zack Snyder here, which I could totally do without. He takes himself way too seriously. But, the behind-the-scenes stuff, if there's ever a movie where the behind-the-scenes stuff is interesting, here it is. And it's hours and hours and hours of it. So, probably worth a rental, I would say, this stuff. Probably worth a rental.
Yeah.
Why not?
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Give it a shot. And then, Mark, are you a fan of David Sedaris?
I am, actually. I do read his stuff, and I do like his stuff.
Okay, did you see C.O.G.?
I did not.
Okay. I am not familiar with his stuff. I was on the radio with Claudia Puig when we talked about the release of this movie, and she is familiar with his stuff, as are obviously a lot of other NPR people. I must have been preaching sacrilege at the time for saying, I'm sorry, don't know David Sedaris that well. But anyway, apparently this is very faithful to his writing, very faithful to his own autobiographical narrative. I just felt it was kind of pretentious and pointless, to be honest. But again, I will guardedly say, if you're a David Sedaris fan, this will probably totally hit it with you. The idea here is you've got this college kid who's trying to sort of do something much more earthy, and he goes to work on an apple farm one summer, and there's a whole kind of family backdrop. He's estranged from his parents for a certain reason, and he's sort of trying to find himself, and things just don't work out, and all the twists and turns of this very turbulent summer are spelled out in this kind of darkly comedic narrative in C.O.G., which I guess, if you don't have Sedaris' voice, you're missing something, but you do have a great cast here, which includes, Dean Stockwell, who's briefly very, very good, Dennis O'Hare, who is sensational, who's always sensational.
Oh, he's great.
That guy is he just kills it.
He gave one of the best Broadway performances I've ever seen. There was a Broadway show called Take Me Out about a gay baseball player.
Yep.
And he was in that show, and I'd never heard of him. This was like 10 years ago. I'd never heard of the guy. And he was ferocious. He was so good. Like, who's this guy?
He kills it.
Dennis O'Hare.
Just kills it.
Wade, we all love Paul Rudd, and we all love Paul Giamatti, but who knew that they did a movie together?
It came and went.
I'm not sure this thing was ever released. It's called...
It was.
It was?
Yeah, it was. It was released about 4 weeks ago.
Oh. Well, it's called All Is Bright, and Giamatti plays this French Canadian guy just out of the pen. He wants to buy his daughter a new piano by selling Christmas trees, and then his partner in selling Christmas trees is Paul Rudd, and they sell Christmas trees, and they all have little. They all have little they all operate at cross purposes where Paul Rudd character is sleeping with Paul Giamatti's wife. Sally Hawkins is also in the film.
I love Sally Hawkins.
Sally Hawkins is great. You know what? This is one of those films that you feel like it could have been a lot better, and there's definitely something there, but it never really came together that much.
Yeah.
I mean, it's there's some dark stuff in it. There's some endearing stuff in it. There's some kind of that funny, sad thing going on where everything feels a little bit dark and dire.
Yeah.
But yet Giamatti and Paul Rudd are so comedic and engaging that it keeps it from being too dark. But ultimately, it's just a little bit too offbeat for me, a little bit too uneven for me. So, you know what? I would say forget it.
Okay.
That's what I would say.
Well, there we go.
Unless you totally love Paul Giamatti.
I like Paul Giamatti an awful lot, and he's awfully good in Mr. Banks, isn't he? Come on, give it up. Oh, he's great there. A couple of animated films. One is DreamWorks Turbo, which is it's about a snail. You get it? Turbo. He's a snail because Turbo's fast and snails are slow, and it's a little counterpoint thing. I don't know. The whole idea here is it's sort of a Finding Nemo-y. It's a Bugs Life-y thing, and I get tired of the animated movies about the little misfit, whether it's a frickin' mouse or, Ratatouille or whoever the misfit is. It's always some damn animal misfit looking to find themselves in the great big world. And here we have a snail, and it's just not all that interesting. It's two discs in the set. One is the Blu-ray, one is the DVD and digital copy. And I just don't find this movie well animated or particularly well written. The other one here, of course, is the Disney film Planes, which they are rather shameless in saying from above the world of Cars. But this is not a Pixar film. The Cars movies are Pixar films. This is the other Disney team, the B team, that do their television animation. They had the whole thing turned over to them to do this spin-off from the Pixar world where, you're doing planes in the Cars style. And I know a lot of people thought this was better than Cars. I don't really see the point of this. It's just it's more cute mechanical creatures with faces. You're anthropomorphizing engine-driven vehicles, and I was kind of over that with Cars. Cars 2 was too much, and I don't see that this makes it any less annoying or kind of belaboring the whole concept. Anyway, a lot of extras here, all the usual kind of stuff that you get on an animated set. This is Blu-ray 3D and DVD and digital copy. Digital copy, of course, is the Disney digital copy, not Ultraviolet, so they're still not on board with everybody else. But I don't know. It's well done. It's well animated. It looks good, but it's a great Blu-ray. But I just don't see the point.
Speaking of Don't See the Point, Paradise is the directing debut of Oscar-winning screenwriter Diablo Cody. This stars Julianne Hough, who is very pretty but very bland. I don't really get her as an actress, other than the fact that she's cute. Russell Brand, Octavia Spencer, and for some reason Holly Hunter. In this film, which I did not like at all, Julianne Hough plays a girl who she gets into this almost fatal accident, and she decides to bust out of her little, God-fearing Montana, little small town, and go to Vegas, where now that she survived this fatal accident, she can start, checking off her bucket list of sins to really live life. The problem with all these Diablo Cody movies is that everybody talks the same quippy way, And I'm sorry, but when you're a girl living in a small Montana town where all you do is just go to church and fear God, you're not going to talk like Diablo Cody talks. You're not going to talk in super quips.
Totally true.
And it felt phony from the start, and I'm just not into it. So I would probably pass on Paradise. David Gordon Green directs Prince Avalanche with Paul Rudd and Emile Hirsch. This is kind of an interesting film that kind of went nowhere. I don't know why this film didn't go anywhere, but it's an interesting movie. It's David Gordon Green has kind of had a up and down career. This film I kind of feel puts him back on the right track. It's kind of
he's like halfway back to his roots a little bit.
Well, Rudd and Hirsch are very good.
Yeah.
And the movie is funny, and I just thought that it's kind of like very, I don't know, what's the word, like meditative, Yeah. And you get a bunch of guys, it's like in the late 80s, they're painting traffic lines on a county highway, and while they're doing that, they sort of bicker and they goof on each other and they talk about their relationships, and it's kind of a bit of a buddy movie where the buddies just sort of sit on a highway and paint lines.
Okay.
But that being said, there's a lot of charming stuff in it, and Green wrote it, so there's going to be some insightful stuff going on, and I'm glad he's back doing this stuff and not doing the crap he was doing. And it's also a good Blu-ray, by the way. There's deleted scenes. There's a bunch of featurettes on it. There's an interview with David Gordon Green, so you may want to give it a whirl if you like Paul Rudd.
All right. We got to really hustle up here so we can finish up the show. We are getting over time. Let's see. We're the Millers is just a disastrous, horrible, horrible movie that I think Jennifer Aniston and Jason Sudeikis probably regret actually having agreed to do. The idea here is that Jason Sudeikis is a small-time drug dealer who puts together this phony family to smuggle drugs under the guy. I mean, the family is like his alibi, right? It's his cover for executing his drug smuggling operation. It's not funny. It's not even remotely funny. It's trying to sort of be a phony version of Vacation with like a phony family and a drug plot, and it's just not funny. And this is a Blu-ray DVD digital copy, ultraviolet digital HD set, and I just can't recommend this on any level whatsoever. Two Guns, I do recommend, believe it or not. I thought this was a surprisingly great movie. Denzel Washington and Mark Wahlberg in a Balthazar Kormacor movie.
I thought this movie was not bad. This movie was not bad.
Not bad at all, man. Really, really cool. Denzel Washington and Mark Wahlberg basically play a couple of law enforcement agents from different agencies who come together when they're trying to take down a drug cartel, but everybody's being played by everybody else in this movie. And I give you nothing else, but it's really pretty cool. It's really pretty cool the way it all kind of works out and sorts out. And you could not get a better couple of guys for their chemistry. Mark Wahlberg and Denzel Washington really, really, really just kill it with their chemistry. That is a fantastic Blu-ray. Looks really, really good. And then, before I let Mark wrap out the new movies, the to-do list is a horrible, dreadful, unfunny, miserable attempt for Aubrey Plaza to try and become a movie star. It is just dreadful. The idea here is that she's this like valedictorian who is a virgin, and she doesn't want to go to college until she loses her virginity. So that's on her to-do list of all of these, sexual things that she's got to do before she gets to college. And it's just dreadful. There's nothing funny about this, nothing even remotely clever about it. This was written and directed by Maggie Carey, who is really, she's done a lot of television, but her big claim to fame here is that she is married to Bill Hader, who just recently stepped away from Saturday Night Live and has a brief part in this movie. It's not a brief part. It's a fairly substantial supporting part, but he's not the star, obviously. But forget about it. I've already said too much about it. It's on Blu-ray, and I see no reason to recommend this movie to anybody.
Oh, wait, real quick. I Declare War is a strange little film that doesn't quite work for me. It's a combination of Lord of the Flies and maybe The Hunger Games and maybe some Bugsy Malone. It's about these preteens who play Capture the Flag in the Woods. And that's what it's about. Now, the game isn't for real. It's all sticks and paintballs and fake guns and whatnot, but still it gets pretty intense as one quote-unquote army leads itself against another quote-unquote army. So there's definitely some thematic stuff going on here about adolescence and growing up and entering adulthood. I don't, and also sexism and homophobia and whatever that kind of stuff, and it gets into kind of racism and even sadism, even though they're preteens. So there's some provocative stuff that they think is going on here, but actually does not come together for me. Finally is Ambush with Dolph Lundgren, Vinnie Jones, and Randy Couture, the best film you'll ever see from 1989.
Yeah.
It has Dolph Lundgren in it. This is a movie where Dolph Lundgren does a bunch of guns stuff, and Vinnie Jones has a crazy haircut, and Randy Couture tries to convince everyone he's a real actor, but he's not. So, this is just more crap where, there's a DEA agent and somebody's double-crossed and the bad guys are losing or taking over the streets, and it's just the same old crap. Ambushed. The end.
All right, and wrapping things out, we got a handful of foreign films that that you've got to get. This is the end of the show, and this is some of the best stuff you're going to get this week. Criterion has released the dual format edition. This is the new thing from Criterion. You got to know this. They are now doing all of their major movies as Blu-ray and DVD combo releases. This is new for Criterion. So everything you buy is going to be Blu-ray and DVD combo. This is Ozu's Tokyo Story, his masterpiece in a combo Blu-ray DVD set that is just gorgeous to look at. The 1953 classic film. It's just one of the greatest films ever made. It is absolutely gorgeous, and it also includes, among the tons and tons and tons of awesome extras, the documentary from 1983 on the life of Ozu and career called I Lived But, and it is wonderful. It is just the complete, everything you need to know about Ozu is there. You also get a commentary from the Ozu scholar David Desser, who edited Ozu's Tokyo Story, and I got to tell you, it's just you could watch this thing for hours and hours and hours and just not get sick of it. It is a wonderful set, must have. Cohen Media is also releasing Ziad Doueri's The Attack, which is a fantastic film that we actually gave. I was on the jury at Colcoa again this year, and we gave this film our top award. It's a great movie. You're thinking, well, wait, it's a French film festival, and this isn't a French. It's a French film actually, because Ziad Doueri is he holds a French passport. But that being said, the film is an Israeli-Palestinian story about a surgeon who is a Palestinian working in Israel, who finds out something related to a bombing that pertains to his life, and he goes on this investigative journey to unravel all these secrets that he just can't believe are actually real. And it is a great film. It is devastatingly well put together, beautifully written, excellent direction, and a really interesting interview with Ziad Doueri, who I had the privilege of meeting at the festival, and this is absolutely first-rate here. So you definitely want to check that out. The Alexander Sokurov film Russian Ark, which is all one continuous take, a mind-boggling single continuous take movie that must have been rehearsed until the nth degree, is finally out from Kino on Blu-ray and DVD, and that is it's a bit of a mind-boggling thing. It also includes the 43-minute documentary about how they actually did it, and it is a gorgeous Blu-ray. You definitely got to check it out. It's just, I mean, as to what it's about, well, yeah, it's just going through the Hermitage, the famous museum in St. Petersburg, but it's 96 minutes of a single tracking shot. That's what makes this movie worth seeing. It's a bit of a gimmick, but it is so monumentally impressive, it'll blow your mind. Murnau's Nosferatu, the classic silent film, the great vampire film from the silent era, 1922, is out from Kino in a special edition, a remastered edition, 2 discs on Blu-ray and 2 discs on DVD. Of course, the Blu-ray is the one you want to get because they really, really, really just killed it here. This is a brand new 35mm high-definition archival restoration by the Friedrich Wilhelm Murnau Stiftung, which is the Murnau archival organization. And it's just absolutely superb. You also get some great extras here. The original 1922 score, The Language of Shadows from 2007, which is a documentary on the making of the film, and then a whole lot of really cool excerpts from a lot of other movies that Murnau had made. And the transfer here is beautiful. Other releases of Nosferatu on DVD and Blu-ray have been horrendous. They've been from just miserable, horrible, dreadful, awful elements, but that one is first rate. And then almost last, before I give you our little Thanksgiving recommendation, is the 25th anniversary edition of Akira, which is being remade as a live-action film, they keep saying. But this is the Blu-ray DVD combo pack from Funimation of the amazing anime classic Akira, which still is just the vision, the futuristic dystopian vision of Neo Tokyo is one of the best things you will ever see in animation, one of the best things you'll ever see in Japanese animation. It's absolutely awesome. And Funimation has just killed it with this. It is an absolutely beautiful, beautiful transfer to Blu-ray. Tons of extras here, including featurettes on the writing and storyboards, restoration, and a whole bunch of the original commercials, which are really cool. The original trailers are also here, but it's the commercials that are I just thought were just really cool. Took me back a little bit. Anyway, that is 124 minutes of pure bliss. And with that, I'm going to give you a Thanksgiving recommendation, a documentary from the TMW Media Group, the Tell Me Why Media Group, called The Pilgrim Fathers. And it helps sometimes on Thanksgiving to remind yourself, if you are in the United States, if you're an American. I know a lot of our listeners aren't, but if you are, it helps to remind yourself sometimes of the actual backstory, the historical backstory of Thanksgiving. And to go all the way back to the Puritans and the Mayflower, not a bad idea. So this is something you might want to take to whatever your Thanksgiving dinner is, and throw it on in the background so people can watch it and talk about it. It's definitely worth a look. The Pilgrim Fathers from TMW Media Group, definitely worth a look. And with that, we are done. And again, we are going to be off for next week, and we will be back at the beginning of December with our holiday gift guide and lots of awesome stuff on that show. That's going to be an awful lot of fun. We're going to talk about books then too, Mark. We got book recommendations.
What are books?
Books are, you know what you look at on your Kindle?
Right.
Imagine if you could print it out.
Why would I want that?
I don't know.